All right, so have you ever heard of a lake that could solve an energy crisis?
A late.
Yeah, a lake.
Not really. I mean, hydropower, sure, but
This is way more interesting. We're talking about Rwanda. They're looking at a pretty wild solution to their sky-high energy costs.
hmm
And get this, it involves tapping into a massive reserve of methane gas.
methane, like at the bottom of a lake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're diving into this story today. It's pretty fascinating, to say the least. We've got a couple of articles here, one from Source Name and another from Source Name, and they both paint a picture of a country that's, well, kind of desperate for affordable energy.
Yeah, I mean, energy prices have been a global issue, but for a developing country like Rwanda, it can be a real roadblock to progress.
Absolutely. And it's hitting everyday people hard. I mean, think about it. The cost of cooking gas has basically doubled in Rwanda since 2020.
Ouch. So what are they looking at? Some kind of new technology?
It's not exactly brand new, but it's definitely cutting edge. We're talking about extracting methane gas from Lake Kivu.
Hold on. I know a little about Lake Kivu. That lake's got it's got a bit of a reputation, doesn't it?
It does. It's one of the African Great Lakes, deep, massive. But it also has these huge layers of dissolved methane and carbon dioxide trapped beneath the surface.
Right, and if I remember correctly, that makes it what they call a limnic eruption risk, doesn't it?
Exactly. Basically a buildup of gas that could, it could potentially lead to a catastrophic release.
Hmm.
But here's the thing. Rwanda sees this potential danger as an opportunity.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So how are they planning on turning a risky lake into an energy source?
That's where Gasmeth Energy comes in. They've partnered with the Rwandan government on a massive project to extract that methane and turn it into CNG, compressed natural gas.
CNG. So they're thinking fuel for cooking, heating, even vehicles.
You got it. And we're not talking about some small-scale experiment here. This is a $400 million deal. A $400 million bet on the idea that Lake Kivu can fuel Rwanda's future.
Wow, that's a serious investment. This must be a pretty complex operation.
It is. I mean, you can't just stick a straw in the lake and suck up the gas. They're building an entire offshore gas extraction facility right on the lake.
Whoa, an offshore facility, like a platform.
Yeah, like a massive platform. It's going to be bigger than a football field.
Hold on. So they're constructing this thing on land and then they're going to tow it out onto the lake?
That's right. They're building it in two phases. First, they assemble this huge barge onshore, and then they're going to very carefully tow it 30 to 35 kilometers out to the extraction site.
That's impressive. So the methane gets extracted out on the lake. What happens to it next? Does it go straight into the Rwandan gas lines?
Not quite.
Yeah.
It's got to go through a whole verification process to meet the standards for CNG. And then they're going to use pipelines that run under the lake, by the way, to transport it to onshore processing and compression plants.
So from lake bed to pipeline to usable gas, that's pretty incredible when you think about it. But this all sounds super complicated. How long has this project been in the works?
They actually signed the initial deal back in February of 2019.
2019. Wow. So why aren't Rwandans already cooking with Lake Kivu methane? What was the holdup?
Well, remember what happened in 2020?
Yeah. I think we all do. The pandemic.
The pandemic threw a wrench into a lot of things.
Right.
And a massive international project like this, well, it definitely got impacted. They spent about 2 years securing funding from investors around the world, and then COVID hit, and everything got pushed back.
Supply chains were a mess. Global investment took a hit. Makes sense. But they didn't give up.
Not at all. I mean, I guess in a way, those delays might have been a good thing. It gave them time to really refine their plans to make sure they're addressing the potential environmental concerns.
That's really important. Anytime you're talking about extracting resources from a natural environment, you've got to be thinking about the long-term impact.
Right. So while they were waiting, Gasmeth was also working on ways to minimize the impact on the lake's ecosystem. I mean, they're really trying to make this a sustainable project.
Okay, so they've got the plan, they've got the funding, and they're working to make it environmentally sound. It sounds like Rwanda's really committed to making this happen.
They are. They've set a pretty ambitious goal, too. Gasmeth is aiming to extract 40 million standard cubic feet of CNG every single day.
40 million? That's a lot of gas. What's that going to mean practically for Rwandans?
Well, it's potentially a game changer. It could provide a significant chunk of the country's energy needs. Think about what that means: more affordable energy for families, a boost for local businesses, and a step towards energy independence for Rwanda.
Wow, that's a powerful vision. But even with the best intentions, there are always going to be trade-offs, right?
Absolutely. There are definitely questions to consider, like how is this going to affect the communities living around the lake? And how do you make sure the benefits are shared fairly?
And what about the long-term environmental impacts? Extracting that much methane, even carefully, it's bound to have some effect on the ecosystem.
That's right. And those are all things that we'll need to keep an eye on as this project moves forward. I mean, we've seen this before, right? Big projects with big promises that don't always pan out the way people hope.
Yeah, but this one feels different, It feels like Rwanda is really trying to do this right. It's bold, it's innovative, and it's got the potential to be a model for other countries facing similar challenges.
It definitely makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what if this actually works? What if Rwanda manages to turn a potential environmental disaster into a source of clean, affordable energy? But what if they actually pull this off? I don't know about you, but I'm definitely going to be following this story closely.
Me too. I'm really curious to see how this unfolds.
This is what makes these deep dives so interesting, isn't it? It's about more than just the facts and figures. It's about the potential and the possibilities. And in this case, those possibilities are pretty mind-blowing.
No doubt about it. This is a story with global implications.
It really is. All right, well, that's it for our deep dive today. But we'll be keeping an eye on Rwanda and Lake Kivu, and we'll let you know what happens next. Until then, thanks for listening.